All of our productions at GCTV are sponsored in part by Bay State Health, providing the care you and your family need when you need it close to home. Visit them online at baystatehealth.org. Greenfield Savings Bank. Visit them at 400 Main Street in Greenfield. Call them at 774-3191 or go online to greenfieldsavings.com. Greenfield Community College, providing access and excellence in higher education in the Pioneer Valley. Visit them at gcc.mass.edu. The Hammond Family. The Hammond family are longtime supporters of Greenfield Community Television. New Fortune Chinese Restaurant on the Mohawk Trail in Greenfield. Visit them online at newfortunema.com. Call them at 772-0838 and check them out on Facebook. Real Cleaning Services, cleaning Hampshire and Franklin County since 1972. We don't cut corners, we clean them. Check them out online at realclean.com. Call them at 413-422-1143. People's United Bank, located at 45 Federal Street in Greenfield. You can call them at 774-3713 or visit them online at peoples.com. The Solar Store of Greenfield, replacing fossil fuels and nuclear power one home at a time. Visit them at 23 Fisk Ave. Call them at 413-772-3122 or visit them online at solarstoreofgreenfield.com. Thank you to our sponsors for supporting all of GCTV's productions.
Councilor Sun?
Here.
Councilor Lobeck?
Here.
Councilor Alice?
Present.
Councilor Python is not here. Councilor Dolan? Councilor Gilmore? Here. Councilor Wheeler?
Here.
Councilor Mayo?
Here.
Councilor Lanovich?
Here.
Councilor Mass is absent. President Renaud?
Here.
Vice President Ricketts is absent. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Is this too loud? No. Okay. So do we have a motion to suspend the rules of procedure?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. So we're going to have the public comment portion of the meeting first, and I do need somebody to give me the sign-up sheet. Perhaps Chris, if you could do it. And we ask that you speak, we time you, and it's 3 minutes. You'll hear the buzzer go off, and so you can wrap it up. We're not going to cut you right off at 3 minutes. Amy Mascaratello. And when you get up to the seat, if you could please state your name and address for the record. And there's also a microphone there.
Oh, I think you can probably hear me. I'll use my projection. I'm Amy Mascaratello. I live at 43 Country Club Road, and I will be brief. I learned a long time ago that perception is reality when working in the public-facing field. I don't know the particulars of what has transpired to bring us to this point. It's up to the town council to find those facts. But what I do know is that what we've learned about this week smacks of retaliation and retribution. Anyone else who sat through the GSET meetings all those months ago saw what Ms. Brocky had endured and how she has served the town of Greenfield since with unwavering professionalism despite the attacks she endured. I strongly urge the council to be equally unwavering in its commitment to ask hard questions and not back down from unpleasant conversations. Thank you.
Thank you. How is the audio in the back?
You need
to use the mic. All right, everybody's secretary's going to use the mic. Thank you, Amy. Quinn.
Better?
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Quinn Jacobs. I am the payroll and personal clerk for the town. I am also the treasurer of Franklin County Pride. My work at Town Hall is meaningful and important to me. Elizabeth Bracha has been my supervisor since I started working for the town of Greenfield. Elizabeth has been accused of raising her voice to another Town Hall employee when defending the right of the Franklin County Pride poster to be hung up at Town Hall. She has also been accused of bullying the retired director of the DPW, and as you all may or may not know, has been put on paid administrative leave. I witnessed the telephone interaction and wanted this council to know that this is not what I observed. I do not lightly appear here tonight because I do take bullying very seriously. My apologies, I'm very nervous talking. However, I have firsthand knowledge that Elizabeth's tone was supervisory and direct, but at no time did she raise her voice against the other town employee. I am at a loss to understand why this false story has resulted in this extreme action taken against Elizabeth. And do wonder about underlying reasons and am concerned that she was not allowed due process, a complete and unbiased investigation. Elizabeth has been a professional, conscientious, and extremely competent city auditor, finance director, and town accountant. She is fair and she cares about the welfare of this town and has put herself out on numerous times to address any issues or concerns that may have jeopardized this town's financial well-being. She has received commendations from town, regional, and state financial officials. I appreciate the opportunity to share both my experience of the events leading to Elizabeth's dismissal / paid administrative leave, as well as my personal feelings about Elizabeth's quality of work. I would like to close by sharing that it is with some trepidation, some as in great trepidation, that I appear here tonight, as I'm worried about work-based retaliation for speaking up. Thank you for your time.
Peter McIver. Duly noted.
Good evening, councilors. Thank you for the opportunity to talk with you this evening.
Peter, could you state your name and address for the record?
Sure. Peter McIver, 10 Carolina. For those of you that don't know, I have been the union president at the fire department as long as Mayor Martin has been mayor. Over the course of our careers, we've often publicly butted heads over workers' rights and benefits. When I was first getting my feet wet as president, I was often told by my fellow town employees that I should look out for myself because Mayor Martin is a vindictive person. As a young and active labor leader, I marched on a quest to do right by the city workforce and improve employment conditions for all. 13 months ago, after a long promotional process was completed, I earned the recommendation for permanent promotion to the rank of lieutenant at the fire department from Chief Strand, as well as unanimous recommendation from the Public Safety Commission. When that recommendation made its way to the mayor's office, it was met by a paper shredder. All the hard work that was completed, the only candidate with experience in that rank, thrown away. Not because I didn't earn it, but because Mayor Martin couldn't bring himself to do what was right for the department over his own agenda of being a spiteful bully. I say this because in September of last year, I sat in a hotel room at a training conference, painfully watching Elizabeth testify in front of this council about the terrible treatment that she had experienced from the mayor's office. I said to myself at that moment that eventually she too would see the heavy hand from the mayor's office. Over the past few years, there's been an exodus of town employees. Employee morale citywide is in the toilet, and your employees are tired of being treated poorly. I'll be honest, it took me a long time to not hate coming to work after last July. I never allowed anything to affect my work performance, but it emotionally pained me to come to work. I came here tonight with my wife and family to support Elizabeth. The situation is both unfair, unjust, and frankly disturbing. Hardworking employees deserve to be treated fairly without fear of retaliation and bullying from their chief executive. Greenfield as a whole deserves better. Thank you.
Thank you. David Mascaratello?
Forty-three Country Club Road. I'm going to read a little bit of what I posted on my webpage, Stop Spending Greenfield. This is a quote from the paper. Mayor Martin would not confirm if Elizabeth Becker was fired, stating only it's a personal matter. The mayor doesn't know the decision that he made. I don't know if the paper's wrong with their quote, but that surely doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Folks, with everything going on in Greenfield politics and finances, it's time for a lot more citizens to show up at council meetings. Everyone needs to call, email their precinct councilor and at-large councilors and speak at meetings. I speak at every meeting and will support anyone who shows up. Since the GSET mess, it seems the mayor has been looking for a reason to get rid of Elizabeth. Despite the abuse she has taken throughout the process, she's a professional. And putting all that aside, serving the citizens of Greenfield, not one person, she dug in and got to the bottom of the messy situation. She has Greenfield finances very well organized and knows where all the issues lie. Letting her go is a huge mistake. It feels very suspect. The council has done a right thing by calling for a full investigation into this matter. I believe the mayor is out of control with spending and may have well let her go because she was pointing out many of the financial issues in warnings. He just doesn't want anything or anybody to get in his way of spending more money. We have a serious situation on our hands now without anyone in town hall performing fiscal checks and balances. And personally, to Elizabeth, she's a friend, she's a colleague, and she's a huge supporter of this town. And I can't say more great things about her, how professional she has been and how she's been there for the citizens of Greenfield.
That's all who signed up. If anybody else wishes to speak, come forward now.
Good evening, Council. Patty Murray Walker, 194 High Street. I wasn't going to speak tonight. I figured that there'd be enough good information and speakers, and I was right. I, however, was moved to speak based on Peter MacGyver's testimony. The fact that he was passed over, I feel is partially to do with the fact that he supported me as mayor. May not have all, it's not probably the total reason, but it definitely had a factor. It was a factor. And what is puzzling to me is that this kind of behavior, faulty terminations, early retirements because people just want to get out, so many things, bullying, that I've heard about when I was running and then subsequent to them, but I just don't understand why it keeps going on, why he keeps getting a break. Please, don't be the one that continues to give him a break. I understand that there's limitations on what you folks can do. I understand that. But please hold him accountable, because he hasn't been for years. And I would also I would really like to see Elizabeth opt to keep things open and not go into executive session, so that everybody knows what the heck is going on around here. Thank you.
Would anybody else like to speak?
Sarah Ahern, 85 Franklin Street. I have very nervous. On. There we go. I just
It's
wanted
not really
to.
Sarah, it's not really on.
Slide it to the right.
I think it's got a low battery.
Just low battery on it.
You got batteries in the back.
Oh, great.
Right, thank you. There's a lot of things I can't talk about this evening, but I'll just start with me too. On Tuesday, June 10th, after the special town council meeting, I was approaching the mayor after he had waited until the entire room cleared to approach me in what I thought was an intimidation factor and informed me of an action that I had not yet been officially informed of. The fact that he waited until the room cleared in the manner in which he approached me, which was observed by other people who were not seen, made me feel really uncomfortable. And it's a very clear abuse of power when someone in that position waits until a room clears and approaches a female in that manner. It made me feel very uncomfortable. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Would anybody else like to speak?
Okay. Ginny DeSorger, 43 Silvercrest Lane. I echo the sentiments of the previous speakers. Elizabeth is knowledgeable, capable, and professional. I too was present at the town council meetings and watched her speak out with great courage. This is our town. This town belongs to all of us. And we need to live in a town where the people can work and be allowed to speak and speak their mind. And I am very saddened. I can see sometimes when I go in that people are afraid to give information for fear of what's going to happen next. And I hope that you can all do something about that. Thank you.
Any other speakers?
Can you hear me? Jamie Kolozowitz, 193 Silver Street. I'm also the former health inspector as of 2 weeks ago. I just would like the council to keep in mind and question why so many people are leaving this town, employees, and ask why, what is going on. Bullying is happening everywhere, but it's also coming from certain council members and from the mayor, it's just too much. And I would just like the council to ask why. Find out how much staff has left the town in the last several years since he started. Ask why. That's all I'm asking. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, last chance. Gonna close the public comment. And we're gonna move on to discussion of the vacant finance director position and the end of year finances. I'm sure the councilors have questions for the mayor, so Mayor Martin, if you could approach, or Mark, I don't know if you want to. So there's no motion on the table, it's just a discussion for us to find out what's going on. So, Councilor Ellis?
I just want to ask a question. This is for questions that are not subject to a possible executive session, is that correct?
That's right, yeah. Please. Does anybody have a question about the open, or about what's going on? Councilor Ellis?
Mayor Martin, what's your plan now that we have apparently lost or have our finance director on paid administrative leave, whichever it is? What is your plan for all of the financial issues to be cleared up, i.e. End of year transfers, if there are any, closing the books, setting a tax rate, all the things that are going to have to happen over the next probably 3 to 6 months? What is the plan?
The plan is, we've started advertising, we've received some applicants, some applications and candidates, and we'll set up interviews over the next 2 to 3 weeks. Starting tomorrow, the certified business manager for the public schools will work in the accountant's office and do the closing of the books, closing of the year, setting up the charts for the new FY19.
So we have a new school business manager who has had maybe 2 weeks on the job. So it's correct that he was hired by the school department to do school department functions that were full-time tasks, is that correct?
Sure.
So that's a yes? Yeah, that's a yes?
That's a yes.
Okay, thank you. So I assume the school department is paying him to do that job. Are we paying him a stipend? How is he working dual purpose for the same pay? What's the situation?
The MOU is in the process of being developed, but he will be paid time and a half. He'll be working before school and after school.
And where is that funding coming from?
It's coming from the accountant's budget.
Okay. And about how many hours will he be working at time and a half?
6 hours a day.
So he'll be working 6 hours a day for the town and 8 hours a day for the schools, which is 14 hours, right? Is that correct?
That would be correct. So as I said, the MOU isn't complete, so I'm not going to misspeak on the number of hours. It could be 2 hours in the morning and 3 hours in the afternoon. So I'm not.
So we're not sure.
Right. We're sure who's going to do it, but we're not sure of the time.
Okay. Now, I assume since this was unanticipated, unplanned, that there was no process to hiring him. I don't know his abilities. I don't know whether he has previous work experience in town finance. I just know that in the past, I've been on the council a long time, and we've discussed consolidating the 2 business offices, and I was always told that the 2 types of finances were completely different, and that we couldn't consolidate it because they were completely different. So do you know if he's trained in both school finance and town finance?
Yes, I do.
And is he?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions from councilors? Councilor Sun?
Mayor, has he got as much experience as the finance director you just let go?
Yes.
And you know by his resume or his say-so or
Yeah,
after
his-
his his working in towns?
Yes, by his resume.
Councilors, go ahead, Council Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, how long do you expect this arrangement to last?
3 to 6 weeks.
Thank you.
Well,
Councilors, I just want to remind you, you don't worry about erring on the side of caution when it comes to the open meeting. You'd rather err on the side of keeping things out in the open than err on the side of asking something in closed session that should be asked in open session. And if there's a reason to not answer the question in open session, then that would be stated. But if anybody has a fear of that, you'll be guided. So if there's a more direct question you want to ask, you can ask it now. Councilor Otis Wheeler.
Mayor, why was the finance director's contract not renewed?
all of the NR contracts were notified that they would be non-renewed so that we could review all of them.
Can you explain what an NR contract is?
NR contracts are individual contracts.
Was the finance director the only contract that wasn't renewed?
Yes.
So essentially she was let go?
There's a documentation of the process.
Could you explain what do you mean by that, the documentation of the process?
Sure. There's a notice, excuse me, notice of contemplated termination was filed June 28th. July 2nd, an email regarding notice of contemplated termination, asking if notice was presented to the town clerk from Elizabeth. We responded that the charter does not apply and she has not been removed or suspended, and that only applies after a decision has been made. Notice of removal meeting on July 23rd was with Elizabeth and Mark, and on July 24th, she was offered the opportunity, on July 23rd, she was offered the opportunity to resign and allow a decision for her to be made 24 hours later, roughly Tuesday afternoon on the 24th. The correspondence of a recap on the meeting was sent on the 23rd to Elizabeth. On July 24th, Mark forwarded 3 emails from Elizabeth requesting terms of a 30-day paid administrative leave, 90 days severance payment, insurance and end dates questions, and will the retirement stipend be part of her 90-day severance? And also the HR to send paperwork on her FMLA leaves. On the 24th, the term, severance, and stipend response was emailed to Elizabeth. As of 5 p.m. Tuesday, there was no response on whether she was considering resignation or to go through the process of the charter. On the 25th, we forwarded a follow-up email asking for FMLA paperwork. We filed a notice of removal with the town clerk's office as indicated, I think it's section 3.4. Mailed 2 copies to Elizabeth, 1 certified, 1 regular mail, and we're in that process now.
Councilor Ellis?
You indicated that you did not renew any contracts, which is your purview, but you did not renew any of them to allow for review of the, I assume, the employee. How many of those reviews have taken place?
I think there are 5 left, and we've had probably 18 or 20.
And did you ever have a review with Elizabeth? I don't know if that question's an executive session.
No.
You did not? Okay. With that said, I will defer. I have more questions, but I'll ask them.
Councilor Gilmore?
Hello? So one of our residents mentioned that perception is reality. And I think that, there's kind of an elephant in the room right now. I know last year, the night before Pride, you decided to take away the funding that was going to be used for the Pride Festival here in Greenfield with no notice, and there was no opportunity for that money to be repurposed for another event. At our last month's meeting, somebody brought it to our attention that now Pride flyers can't go up in town offices because it's considered to be political. And it seems to me the perception is that there is some homophobia going on. And I don't want to directly accuse you of that because I think we have some things to discuss in executive session that will draw out some more details. But I think that a lot of people are considering this when they're talking about perceptions, some of the things that have come up. And I would like to know what you would say to the public here outside in open session about those sorts of patterns that have been.
So I understand you're not accusing me, but you're asking me to speak for everyone else. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that there's a perception, and I was asking if you would address that perception because I've been inundated with some information in the last few days that has been accusatory. So if you have something to say that can be said in open session, I would invite you to speak on that.
So I can't recall was it the cultural district money that was?
I believe so.
Okay, so I think maybe Linda or John might have been on that committee. I can't recall. I shouldn't say what I'm trying to think.
Councilor Mayo?
Was it given to a nonprofit?
I believe Franklin County Pride Council is a nonprofit.
Okay. So I'm under the impression that we cannot give money to certain nonprofits and that all nonprofits, mostly under the anti-aid amendment that was actually introduced to me by Elizabeth, that amendment.
Councilor Mayo?
Mr. Mayor, I'm assuming that there's a job performance review on all the employees within the town, or within the town hall.
I've never seen a job evaluation in the town hall.
Why isn't there a job performance review?
Primarily, I was told by HR that the unions wouldn't accept an evaluation for employees.
Even for non-union employees?
Non-union employees are contracts.
And they still don't have a job performance review?
They have a performance review on their mission, each individual contract.
So it's not something it's done contractually, not annually?
Right.
Thank you.
Councilor Logan?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to know why you didn't have an interview with Elizabeth and you had interviews with other people.
Well, that's a good question. Primarily because we were involved in, partly because I'm the only one doing the interviews and the contracts with assistance from HR, and you can only have so many appointments all of the time, every day. So we were fitting in men during the month of, last week of May, maybe in the month of June. We haven't scheduled Elizabeth, we haven't scheduled Mark, we haven't scheduled some of the other NRS.
I don't know, I just kind of find that being awfully funny, considering that Elizabeth had worked for years with Lane Kelly, and in my dealings, and I'm just going to bring this up, my dealings when I worked on the committee with Elizabeth and Lane and school committee and independent people, that she was very knowledgeable, and I never heard any complaints back then or any time after that about her job performance. I just find that questionable.
Well, I have to reply to every employee for the town, and when some employees make written complaints, I have to address them.
Councilor Gold.
Mr. Mayor, the issue of perception has come up, and I have a concern related to that. You say that the town is receiving applications for this position already. You say the town has received applications already for this position?
Yes.
Given the controversy that's swirling around this and the suddenness of this dismissal, are you confident that Greenfield is going to be attracting the best, most qualified candidates?
Yes.
Councilor Ellis.
But for what you have alleged through other employees that Elizabeth has done, and we'll get into that probably in executive session, do you believe that she would be the best person to be in that job?
No.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Councilor Leonovich.
Just a quick question. Wouldn't it have been more prudent to interview a person that you had contemplated letting go for the review process instead of just letting her go prior to? I just figure if you have you already completed 18 interviews and none of them have been let go, the person that you were contemplating letting go, I would assume would bump up higher into the rotation. So is that?
That might have been the case, but I wasn't contemplating not renewing that contract.
Councilor Ellis.
Can you tell us the number of contracts that this employee has had and the number of months that each contract was for, and in what succession those contracts were?
Not right now.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Mr. Mayor, are the employees afforded an exit interview?
Yes, there.
Was one afforded to Elizabeth?
I don't believe so. I don't know.
Why is that?
Why I don't know, because HR does the exit entry.
Councilor Ellis.
You are the supervisor for HR,
Yes, I
correct?
am.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor Martin, I think I think we're all set until we go into executive session. I'm going to ask Elizabeth to step up. I'm sorry. Elizabeth, I'm trying to make sure I'm heard, so I keep looking down. Elizabeth, at any time you can say you don't, this is a question you'd rather go into executive session. So I'm gonna.
Point of order.
Yes.
She can have her attorney with her at the table, correct?
And you can have your attorney at the table with you.
Thank you.
Correct. Okay, Councilor Ellis. So councilors, I'm sure you have questions for Director Braccio. Oh, and your name.
Yeah, I'm Attorney Nathan Olin from Olin Yellow.
Thank you. Councilor Gilmore.
Hi, Elizabeth. I was wondering, were you told why you were let go? And I if that's okay.
Yes.
Would you mind telling us, or do you want to wait?
I'd rather wait.
prior question about contract lengths, number of contracts, and what succession they were in, is that something you're prepared to answer in public, or would you prefer to answer that in executive session?
I can answer that.
So, did you remember the question, or shall I?
So no, I have a very good memory.
Okay.
So I've been here 7 years, and for 6 years I had an annual contract. The year of, I'm going to call it the year of GSAD. I was given a 6-month contract with the caveat that you can't get rid of an accountant at year end. And then in December, I was given another 6-month contract, which brought me to year end, which I had stated was in contradiction of why I was given a 6-month contract the first time. So now I have no contract.
How long have you been without a contract?
Since July 1. It was terminated while I was home from surgery.
Was there, and there was no interview, correct, about renewing a contract, or was there any interview about renewing a contract?
Well, there was a conversation. There was a staff meeting called to explain why we all received terminations of our current contracts because they were redoing all the contracts, and that we would all be receiving 3-year contracts.
That's all I have for open session.
Councilor Neal.
Elizabeth, you said that you had a couple of times where there was a 6-month contract. Is that correct?
Yes, last year.
Were you given the rationale as to why you were only given a 6-month contract rather than an annual one?
Yeah, it was the statement that it doesn't make sense to get rid of a town accountant at year end.
And that was for both?
Well, actually, it was the first one which brought me through December.
Okay,
And then the December one brought me through year end.
okay.
Elizabeth, there have been, there are things said about complaints lodged against you. Is there anything in open session you want to say in response?
We are going to challenge those vigorously, and we'll deal with them at the appropriate time.
Councilor Sun?
Elizabeth, I think you got a very professional attitude in everything you do. And in my eyes, as far as long as I've been on the town council, and it seems like that ever since GSAT, has things gone downhill since then for you?
Yes.
To your knowledge, and what knowledge that you have, were there any other 6-month contracts issued to any other of the NRs? To your knowledge?
To my knowledge, that would be no, because we process payroll, so I get all contracts.
So with that said, how many, at the time you received your first 6-month contract, how many of the total number of NRs received a year contract?
Every one of them did.
Except for you?
Correct.
How did that make you feel? I mean, you don't have to answer that, but I mean,
Singled out.
Okay, thank you.
There are other questions for open session? Elizabeth, when you alerted the town entities about GSET and what was happening, and as a result, the director of GSET was then subsequently fired when it was found that ways that transactions were taking place weren't being guided by Massachusetts state law. And when you were found to be in the right over this, and were you ever apologized to?
No.
Were you ever apologized to after the GSET manager said he was going to sue you, and then it was found that, in fact, the things that he was doing was actually of, a huge bullish nature? Were you ever apologized after he was fired? Did anybody ever apologize to you?
No.
How did you keep working here? And why?
I believe in Greenfield.
Thank you, I'm sorry. Councilor Dolan?
I thought it was striking when you came up how much support you obviously have from the folks in town hall. So I just kind of want to get on the record. Would you say you have generally good relationships with the people you work with?
I believe I do.
Councilor Ellis?
Oh, I didn't have, I was just pointing to the, I wanted to show you that there was.
Oh, Councilor Mayo, and then Councilor Sun.
Elizabeth, I understand, and I know this because I had knee surgery as well, so I know that you had knee surgery. Prior to you having scheduled knee surgery, were you afraid to take leave for your surgery?
Yes, I was. I actually sought counsel on FMLA and what was allowed and not allowed to me while I was in FMLA.
And I'm sorry.
Councilor Sun?
Elizabeth, like I said before, I've enjoyed working with you, and you seem to have an open door policy to any questions asked or in your office. After GSET happened, were you afraid to say what exactly some people asked about what was happening?
There was an executive order for us not to speak to town councilors, so yes, I was nervous about being able to communicate with y'all.
You did speak. It was September 20th, 2017. And you spoke eloquently through your tears. And would you have spoken if you hadn't been subpoenaed? Did you feel like you could?
I did not feel like I could.
Is there anything you want to say now in open session?
Yes, I would just like to thank everyone for their overwhelming support. I am humbled and honored. Thank you.
Thank you. And when we, just so folks know, when we go into closed section, the meeting isn't over. We're going to come back. We're going to reconvene. But is there a union representative, perhaps Peter, that could answer a question of mine that could come up? Because I have a question of somebody in the staff union. I know that Quinn, maybe. It's a general question.
Sure. Nothing like being on the spot.
Okay. And I assume most of the contracts are the same within the union. Is it, yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure there's a lot of language that's the same. Is it true that in your union contracts you don't allow evaluations to take place? I know it's probably true that you don't allow raises to be based on evaluations, that everybody should get raises, but do your contracts specifically say that you can't have evaluations or any work performance reviews? If so, I've never heard of such a thing in a union contract.
Specifically for us, no, there is nothing that would prohibit it. It's actually covered under civil service. There was a period of time that evaluations were not done, and when they were done, and the process was mitigated. But there's been accepted forms of evaluation that have been used for at least the last 10 years. I can't speak to every bargaining unit. I've read most of their contracts. I don't think there's anything that would prohibit that.
It would seem an unfortunate thing for any bargaining unit to not want feedback from their supervisors or evaluations of some sort. But I thought I heard earlier that the unions prohibited the evaluations of employees, and so I wanted to kind of clarify that. And I see, it seems as though you can be evaluated, so people can be evaluated. I'm not seeing anybody saying that's wrong. Okay, I just wanted to do some clarification on that.
I can definitively tell you that we are.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Lovett, is it for Peter? Oh, I think you're still there.
No, it's just,
Oh.
I just want to make a comment here. When I worked for the school department here in Greenfield for 10 years, I was the director of maintenance. And everybody that was under me, the maintenance personnel and people like that, they all had evaluations. I had an evaluation from the business manager, and I do find that kind of surprising that I don't know why there's no evaluations being done. That's usually a normal thing. But I know in the school department, they always did evaluations. And I had them, and my people that worked for me had them, and teachers had them. I just wanted to say that.
Thank you. Councilor Mayo?
I think I just want to make it clear that in evaluations, that at annual reviews and evaluations, it gives the opportunity for both the employer or the manager to give feedback to the employee, but it also gives, and it asks the question in most circumstances that I've been aware of, it basically gives an opportunity for the manager to ask the employee, is there any areas where that they need to do better in? And it gives an opportunity for the employee to hear that feedback and then respond and also come up with a plan together. Supposedly in every review process that I've been involved in, when I worked for the state, it was supposed to be a collaborative effort to give both employee and the manager the opportunity to work together to get the best out of the employee that they possibly can. And that means giving the tools to the employee to be a better employee for that year, and also for all around better job performance if that's the case. So there's no question there. I just wanted to, I didn't hear that there's an opportunity for, in most reviews that I know of, that there's a feedback for the employee to give feedback to the manager as well. That there's, so I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
I have a request for when we go into executive session. If there are 4 employees here who each witnessed the incidents that happened, if they're amenable to joining us in the executive session, I would like to request their presence, if that's allowed.
If they want to.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion that we enter executive session for the purpose, number one, to discuss the reputation, character, physical condition, or mental health rather than professional competence of an individual, or to discuss the discipline or dismissal of or complaints or charges brought against a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual. The individual to be discussed in such executive session shall be notified in writing by the public body at least 48 hours prior to the proposed executive session, provided, however, notification may be waived upon written agreement with the parties. And I need a second.
Second.
It is my knowledge, as I make the motion, that the parties have been notified. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Have been notified.
And those parties are Elizabeth Braccia, she's asked for her attorney, and that's fine. For employees, they're not going to be talked about, but they are invited to join us if that's what they want. But they're not the subject of the open meeting. Mark Smith and Mayor Martin. And the town attorney. And it's going to be a roll call vote.
Councilor Sung,
Here. Yes.
Councilor Lobet,
Yes.
Councilor Alice,
Yes.
Councilor Dolan, Councilor Gilmore,
Yes.
Councilor Wheeler,
Yes.
Councilor Mayo,
Yes.
Councilor Leonovich,
Yes.
and President Liddell.
Yes. So we're going to go into another room. If folks want to stay here, we will be back, and there will be more business to be done. The time is 8:48, and we are reconvening into open session. The next part of the agenda is new business, and I believe that Councilor Dolan would first like to read a letter from Councilor Ashley Stemple, who could not make it tonight.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So yes, this is a letter from Councilor Stemple.
Can't hear you.
To my colleagues on the council and the people of Greenfield, it is with a heavy heart that I pen this letter. I am unable to attend tonight's special meeting due to work commitments, but I felt compelled to have a voice in tonight's proceedings. Thank you to my colleagues for their willingness to read and enter my statement into record. Greenfield is at a pivotal moment in its history. We are at the cusp of a cultural and economic renaissance, and opportunity is within reach. In order to get the city to where we need to go, we must be able to retain and attract some of the best municipal talent in the Pioneer Valley and beyond. Among other qualities, we require a leader who is transparent, fair, and inclusive, and who can lead the team behind them with care, respect, and dignity. One of my greatest pleasures serving the city is the opportunity to work with and learn from the experts and specialists who operate this community. Over the last 2 years, I've watched as Mayor Martin has failed to lead employees with care, respect, and dignity. He has created a hostile work environment causing stress, anxiety, and fear of retribution, holding staff to 6-month contracts and threats of elimination. While we addressed this bullying behavior months ago, the behaviors have gone unchecked and unchanged. This is unacceptable. Bullying and threats will no longer be tolerated in the city of Greenfield. Unless it can be proven that the leadership or lack thereof behaviors of Mayor Martin will change, we have a responsibility to take control of the situation by force and ensure the well-being of those who keep our community running. Thank you, Ashley.
Excuse me. Thank you for reading that, Councilor Dolan. Councilor Ellis, I believe you have a motion.
I do have a motion. I'd just like to say that the motion's not easy to make. It actually pains me to have to make it. I was going to say a whole bunch of stuff, but I'm just going to do the motion and then I can say things after. This is a resolution of no confidence in Mayor Martin. Whereas on numerous occasions over the last 2 years, Mayor Martin has mistreated many of his subordinates, creating a hostile work environment, as well as instilling a fear of retribution. And whereas Mayor Martin has damaged and diminished employee morale throughout the town of Greenfield through his persistent and demeaning behavior towards many of his subordinates. And whereas Mayor Martin has instructed employees not to speak to town councilors, see Executive Order number 2017-1 dated 1/26/2017 entitled, quote, Directive Concerning Information Requests from the City Council, end quote, and has threatened those employees with termination if they fail to adhere to the executive order. And whereas on several occasions Mayor Martin has either been unable or unwilling to provide information to the town council relative to issues under consideration by the town council, on 2 such occasions requiring the council to unanimously vote to issue subpoenas to obtain the relevant information. And whereas Mayor Martin has shown very poor judgment in relation to many personnel decisions of both hiring and firing of subordinates, which inevitably will and has already cost the taxpayers of Greenfield thousands and potentially millions of dollars. And whereas Mayor Martin has taken the extraordinary step to dismiss the finance director for reasons yet to be known to all of you, with no effective plan in place to continue to fulfill the important duties of the finance director's office, including but not limited to end-of-year finances, town audit material preparation, setting of the municipal tax rate, preparing for and bonding outstanding debt, and preparing information on financial impacts of proposed municipal projects. And whereas Mayor Martin has lost the confidence of the town council that he is fit for duty and capable of carrying out the requirements of the office of mayor, and whereas the Greenfield Town Council by vote of its members so declares that the actions of Mayor Martin stated in the preceding paragraphs of this resolution are detrimental to the good of the inhabitants of the town of Greenfield, and that the morale of employees will continue to deteriorate under Mayor Martin, leading to irreparable harm to the stability of the town of Greenfield. Now therefore be it resolved, the Greenfield Town Council declares that it no longer has confidence in Mayor Martin and thus demands henceforth his resignation.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there discussion? Councilor Ellis?
Just like to say, as I said before, it pains me to have to read something like that. However, we've been here before, and I don't want to be here again.
Any other discussion? Councilor Dolan?
I just want to point out again that I was really struck by the level of support that Elizabeth has had from her coworkers, and that it means a lot to me that you all decided to come here and show that support. I think it's something that was noticed. I have seen no evidence to justify this termination, so I'm afraid I'm going to have to vote yes. It's not something I do lightly, nor something that I wanted to do, but I think the situation is untenable like this.
Councilor Gilmore?
Yes, I'd like to say that this is incredibly uncomfortable and awkward. But I feel like we have to do uncomfortable and awkward things to stand up and say that we're not going to accept this sort of behavior. And I think it's important for our town employees to understand that they're going to have, they can come to us if they have concerns and that we are going to support them. I think it's a shame that we may not be able to give Elizabeth Rochland her job back. But I think we probably at this point don't even deserve her, and I'm so sorry. It's just, you've been so helpful.
I'd like to thank everybody who came and agree with all that's been said. This is uncomfortable. This is awkward. I think you all understand the process that though we can make a resolution, we're not the mayor's boss. We're not an executive board. It's the town that is the mayor's boss. This is merely a resolution. And we're doing this also at the detriment of what could be the future relationship between the town council and the mayor. Knowing that we have to stand up for something now. And hoping that all will still conduct themselves in professional ways. But I think those of us who are voting positive, and I don't know how the vote's going to turn out, it says to us that we've found no evidence in an executive session that justifies in any way the termination of this employee. And it's very concerning. But again, I just want to thank my fellow town councilors who, stood up for this injustice, or for those who don't think it was an injustice. And if you don't vote for it, that's okay too. But I'm just acknowledging that this is a really uncomfortable position. So thank you all. Does anybody else have anything to add? Councilor Sun?
I just agree with everything on this page. It's just, I think it's low down the way that it's taking place, and I just agree with this write-up says.
Councilor Mayo?
I'm not sure how many of you know that I used to be a public employee president for 10 years. And so I represented at one time, over 1,000 employees from either in Boston and disciplinary actions and you name it, soup to nuts. But the key word that I keep remembering back then and today is just cause. I need to see just cause. Even if it's in a 1-year contract, a 6-month contract, a 3-year contract, I need to see just cause for termination. And I just don't see it.
Councilor Leonovich?
I was hoping to come here tonight to get some clarity on what occurred, what actually happened. And I left the executive session more confused than I went in. The role of the executive is a challenging role. There's a lot of responsibility, a lot is on your shoulders. But after listening to what went on there and the stories that were told, I've never seen someone handcuff themselves and impede themselves from doing the job so much as what we heard. It seems like rationale has to win the day, and it just wasn't present. There was nothing that I saw that would have prevented me from actually agreeing to this resolution, albeit it wasn't my intention to as we came here.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? The motion carries.
Madam President, I have one more.
Yes. Councilor Ellis.
I move that the Greenfield Town Council vote to affirm the following statement and record such vote in its official minutes. The Greenfield Town Council places its full confidence and support behind Director Elizabeth Braccia. The Greenfield Town Council believes that Ms. Braccia has performed the duties of the Office of Finance Director knowledgeably, ethically, and professionally, in accordance both with the town charter and the laws of the Commonwealth. Further, the Greenfield Town Council believes that the actions taken by the mayor against Director Braccia are retaliatory in nature, without merit, and wrong. Therefore, the Greenfield Town Council believes it is in the best interest of the town and its inhabitants that Director Braccia be reinstated immediately to allow the town to resume work on all financial matters.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded. Is there discussion? Councilor.
Yeah, I would just like to say that Elizabeth stood up for the town in a time when there was confusion. She felt like she was in a position to know what was right, and she stood up in that position. And I would like to affirm that and say that the Greenfield Town Council, at least speaking for myself, will stand up for anyone who does that for the town of Greenfield.
Council Song?
Well, I'm gonna have somebody that's handling finance is of Greenfield. I'd rather have her than somebody that's just gonna come on board. And we've never talked to her, never done anything. I'd rather have somebody that knows what's happening in town and knows how to handle it financially. And so I go, what's being said is right, not wrong.
Council Mayo?
Though I'm a youngling city councilor, I've had a number of trainings at the town council, especially about financial matters, and I've had many interactions with Elizabeth and certainly many questions being a new councilor. And if I couldn't get the answer from Elizabeth right there on the spot, she was able and readily able to find the answer within a very short order of time and get back to me in a very professional manner. And that's what I want in a person who's handling a multi-million-dollar budget such as the town of Greenfield has. And I have every confidence that Elizabeth handled that money in that fashion. And if she wants to come back and is able to come back, I have every confidence that she'll be able to handle that in every way possible. So, thank you.
And before we vote, I just want to say that Mayor Martin, I don't know if you're inclined to unring this bell of the termination of Elizabeth. I believe it can be. I believe there's nothing preventing that from happening. I think that sort of action would show good faith in listening to the employees of the town and listening to the town council. I think the sign of a good leader is to admit when a mistake has been made. And I think as a leader, you're given way more forgiveness, way more easily than just the average person who makes a mistake. And I think that would be very forthcoming from everybody here. And I think, Elizabeth, you were and are a great finance director, easy to work with, always available to answer questions. I know you do and still know your job thoroughly. So it's my sincere hope that you will be taken back and that you would in fact accept the job and offer back with the town of Greenfield, and that we could move on from this awful incident. And with that said, I don't think we need to do a roll call vote on this one either. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Is there any other new business? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
All of our productions at GCTV are sponsored in part by Bay State Health, providing the care you and your family need when you need it close to home. Visit them online at baystatehealth.org. Greenfield Savings Bank. Visit them at 400 Main Street in Greenfield. Call them at 774-3191 or go online to greenfieldsavings.com. Greenfield Community College, providing access and excellence in higher education in the Pioneer Valley. Visit them at gcc.mass.edu. The Hammond family. The Hammond family are longtime supporters of Greenfield Community Television. New Fortune Chinese Restaurant on the Mohawk Trail in Greenfield. Visit them online at newfortunema.com. Call them at 772-0838 and check them out on Facebook. Real Cleaning Services, cleaning Hampshire and Franklin County since 1972. We don't cut corners, we clean them. Check them out online at realclean.com. Call them at 413-422-1143. People's United Bank, located at 45 Federal Street in Greenfield. You can call them at 774-3713 or visit them online at peoples.com. The Solar Store of Greenfield, replacing fossil fuels and nuclear power one home at a time. Visit them at 23 Fisk Ave. Call them at 413-772-3122 or visit them online at solarstoreofgreenfield.com. Thank you to our sponsors for supporting all of GCTV's productions.